Thank you so much, Monica. I'll also be speaking as well with the Director of Global Schools, Sam Loni. So he will start it off, and then I will continue talking about global schools.
Thank you very much, Amanda. Hope you can hear me okay. And thank you, Monica. Once again, on behalf of Global Schools and the SDSN, we're very proud of this initiative. 2 years ago, when we proposed the idea, we could have never imagined it would gain so much traction. And again, it's thanks to the incredible partnership of the patrons and co-chairs, but also colleagues such as Monica, Chandrika, Alexander, and the rest of the team. It also shows what a great appetite there is out there for this topic and its importance. So we're very excited for the journey ahead. But I think Monica, you asked some very important questions. And I think one of the main ones is, what was the motivation behind such an initiative? And why do we need such an initiative? And I think there's a story in this. There are approximately 1.4 billion children in school around the world at the moment. And the most important question is, are we doing enough to prepare these children for a future? Are we equipping them with the necessary knowledge, values, and skills to better navigate this very uncertain future that's awaiting them? But also to give them the actual agency and empowerment to build resilient and prosperous community. COVID-19 has shown how fragile this system is and why individuals need to have the critical thinking capabilities as well as systems thinking and many, many other important learning domains that Her Excellency Stefania Giannini referred to. And of course, education for sustainable development is a key enabler for this transformation. But we also have to recognize that many public education systems around the world are overstretched, underfunded, and dealing with even the most basic challenges of education, which in part might explain the limitations in the implementation and scaling of education for sustainable development. And multiple UNESCO reports have pointed out to this, that even at the very classroom levels, at the very classroom level, teachers are struggling to fit in the entire curriculum and dealing with the challenges of the existing content, let alone additional content. But at the same time, we know, and these are recent studies that have shown, in particular one from Stanford University, which has done a systematic analysis of a number of other studies, which show that education for sustainable development is not just good for society, but it's also good for education. It increases student engagement in class. It creates a better school environment. It increases teacher satisfaction. It increases attendance, and there are many, many other benefits which actually can help the very basic tenets of education. And this systematic approach, I think, is clearly. So as advocates of sustainable development, we really need to work very closely with the national governments and to offer support where necessary in designing and implementing a high quality ESD curriculum, but also a comprehensive training of teachers to enable them to as easily transition into this new model of curriculum. So this transformation really is key, and for that there needs to be very clear thinking about the localization process. So really we also need to better define what ESD is and how it will look in different settings, that it is not just about environmental education, but a whole spectrum of other issues, including global citizenship, 21st century skills, and human rights. And of course, and I think the most important part of this is partnering with national research institutions, universities, think tanks, and of course, the various ministries to create these comprehensive courses, but also to localize them to ensure that they're not just one class over the the lifetime of the student, but rather a critical component of education in every step of the way, and of course to scale, to monitor the results and be able to scale that. So I think these are all very important. And I think establishing these principles can be very helpful, and then working at the local level. The late Sir Ken Robinson said that education is not a mechanical process, it's an organic process. And what can we do to support education systems around the world organically really aspire to these very, very important transformations that we need? At Global Schools, we truly wanted to understand the problems and the limitations at the local level, and to find out what it would really take to transform learning and repurpose the curriculum at the national level, despite these limitations. So 12 months ago, actually, we started our research pilot program in 3 countries, Ghana, Turkey, and Morocco. We did this in partnership with Mohammed VI Foundation for Environmental Protection and the Al Ahwan University in Morocco, Millennium Promise and University of Education in Ghana, and the Hacettepe University in Turkey. We were also extremely lucky to have the support of our wonderful academic advisors during this process, including Professors Oren Pismoni-Levy, Felicia Sibis from Columbia University, Professor Fernando Reimers from Harvard, and Professor Alan Reed from Monash, who guided us through this localization process and really helped us create a comprehensive process for the nationalization of curriculum. So 12 months later, we're very happy to announce that since last year, more than 60 researchers have been recruited across 3 countries to lead this project. They have worked across 4 separate languages, 3 different national education systems, and these languages are English, Turkish, Arabic, and French. They have been working very hard to audit the curriculum and the textbooks. They've been identifying and understanding the gaps and limitations. And more importantly, now they've been using this information for understanding where the interventions are necessary, to design the relevant curriculum content, to design the lesson plans to be integrated into the national curriculum. And of course, some incredible results have emerged, and you will hear about these shortly. Now, we're now in the final phase of this research project, and a report will be coming to you very soon. And most importantly, we hope that this methodology and experience of our partners in these 3 countries will be used as a basis for the localization work of Mission 4.7 as we begin working with various national and local governments. In other words, we want this methodology and experience to build on the wonderful existing work of UNESCO and essentially serve as a toolkit for the localization of the SDGs and their integration into curriculum, but of course, also as a way to support teachers and students to transform learning within the classroom. So we're very excited for the journey ahead. And as Global Schools, we are looking to replicate these success stories in other countries through Mission 4.7. And with that, I hand over to my colleague, Amanda Abrom, to highlight some of the Global Schools work on the ground. Amanda, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Sam. So what you've heard so far is since its inception, Global Schools has really been able to accomplish incredible work in collaboration with its partners and researchers to make a true impact in this space. But also we're doing a lot in the advocacy front, on the grassroots front, to really impact every student and lifelong learner. And now as one of the founding partners of Mission 4.7, we can really continue this work and take it forward. So last year, we trained 450 community volunteers on the importance of education for sustainable development. These volunteers are known as Global Schools Advocates, and we tasked them with taking the SDGs to K-12 students that are in the school communities that are the most left behind, where they can understand the local context and speak in the local languages to these school leaders, teachers, and students. And their mission was to motivate school communities to take up education for sustainable development. And they successfully completed presentations at 2,000 school communities and reached out to 7,700 schools about sustainable development education. And we have a variety of stories, impact stories about these advocates, which I'd love to share. Briefly, I will say we had a story from an advocate in Bangladesh, and what they did is they understood the local community context around SDG 6 clean water and realized that motivating that school leader to work on a water filtration system within the school community was the best way to educate students about the environment and about the SDGs and take this forward in curricula and operations. So through this work of the advocates, about 1,000 schools in 80 countries, encompassing 45,000 teachers and 850,000 students, have pledged now to go forward with global schools and integrate education for sustainable development within their school curricula and operations. And we really believe that this is evidence that with the proper roadmap and with the proper inspiration from these local advocates, that schools can and schools will join this global movement. And going forward, we are going to be deepening our impact in these school communities by hosting our first cohort of global schools advocates specifically for teachers. And the purpose of this is to train teachers on these concepts and create community focal points with the ability to influence the knowledge, actions, and behaviors of K-12 students within the local context. We've also in the past partnered with International Baccalaureate to coordinate a campaign which generated 632 sustainability projects with students across the world in IB schools. So going forward, we really believe that through the support of Mission 4.7, as well as the other founders and partners of Mission 4.7, that we will achieve this vision of successfully promoting high quality, localized education for sustainable development across school communities. SDG 4.7, as we have heard from all of the speakers, is really about educating the future generations on how to achieve this agenda. And we believe that in the future, these younger generations, these K-12 students, they will be at the forefront of these future movements. They will be at the future Vatican Youth Symposium, and these students are going to be setting the new sustainable development agenda beyond the SDGs, beyond 2030. And they need this education in order to advocate for these concepts and values throughout history. So Global Schools really looks forward to expanding its work through Mission 4.7 and advocating for education for sustainable development to governments, as well as to K-12 students and all lifelong learners. Thank you so much, and I'm looking forward to the questions and panel discussion.
Excellent.